the critical success of the original Bioshock, published in 2007, it was inevitable that its publisher, Irrational Games, would return to the franchise sometime in the future. On August 12, 2010, Bioshock Infinite, first shown as a spiritual sequel to the original, was teased for the first time to the world. It would take Ken Levine, the series creator, and Irrational Games another 3 years before finally being published, encompassing a very long development cycle with a myriad of delays. On March 26, 2013, Bioshock Infinite was released on the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC to much critical acclaim. It currently holds a very high ranking on Metacritic and has generally been well received by the gaming community at large. More than any game so far this year, Infinite has inspired a vast amount of online articles, explanatory forum posts, and critical video looks at the game itself. We here at Pixel Loadout decided to ask a few local gamers on their take on Infinite, starting with the most pertinent question: what is Bioshock Infinite?
Bioshock Infinite is a video game made by Irrational Games. It is a first-person shooter, very similar to Half-Life 2. Its main focus, and I would say the best aspect of it, is its story.
And it is the third game in the Bioshock trilogy, and it takes place in 1912, and you're in a city called Columbia in the sky, and you play as Booker DeWitt.
The third game in the Bioshock, I guess, series. It's not really a trilogy because it takes, I don't know. Yeah, it's the third game in that series. It's a first-person action adventure game, I'll call it.
Bioshock Infinite is an RPG by Irrational Games. It was made this year. Pretty decent.
It's a very interesting video game. That's definitely one of the most unique things to come out of this year.
The gameplay was solid. I felt that the controls, after a bit of tweaking, were to my liking. The difficulty, my first playthrough, I played on medium, and I felt it was a tad bit on the easy side, but honestly, you know, for a first playthrough, I'd rather a game be too easy than too difficult. There were some changes to it that I didn't like, such as only being able to hold 2 weapons, but overall, I still really enjoyed the gameplay.
I played it on normal, so I didn't really get a whole lot of challenge out of it. I thought it was pretty easy. The controls were, you know, fine for a first-person shooter. I didn't think it was particularly amazing as a shooting game. The story was good, and it took out some of the RPG elements that I liked from the first game.
Probably the weirdest thing about that game was the whole tether, line system. Fighting on it was it was kind of cool when you looked at it, but when you were playing it, it was just all these buttons doing random things. Like that, I don't feel like that was needed, even though it was really convenient to get from there to there. But I mean, the gameplay was solid. It wasn't amazing, but it was. I mean, it kind of helped with the progression of the plot. It felt like there should be gameplay. You had gameplay whenever there shouldn't be gameplay. You had cutscenes.
As far as the gameplay is concerned, it was a fine game. It wasn't the main focus for me personally, though. I was in it for the story all the way.
My first playthrough, I had a lot of fun with the game. And like I said, mainly because of that gripping story, I just was able to push through it and pretty much with a very difficult time to put it down.
Elizabeth.
Promise me.
I will stop him.
No. That is an oath you cannot keep. But promise me that if it comes to it, you will not let him take me back.
It won't come to that. All right?
I honestly was very impressed with how they handled the character of Elizabeth, especially in terms of how she aided you in gameplay. There's too many games out there that have the escort missions where you begin to hate the person that you're protecting because they're completely useless.
The best thing that has ever happened in a game is, it's an escort game. Don't worry about her, she can take care of herself. The best character in any video game ever.
I really liked Elizabeth. She was probably one of the best female protagonists / assistant you get in any video game, and I really like that she helps you out in combat.
The gameplay mechanics that they threw in with, you know, her giving you exactly what you needed was a little touch to get the player to really appreciate having her around.
Found some money.
Elizabeth could take care of herself, and she also proved that she could help you out a lot. So honestly, I loved her. As a character, she might have had a little bit more time to be fleshed out, I feel, but she still was a very enjoyable character who did have depth.
Like, the voice acting was good, but it was more like when you didn't know her, she was intriguing because she was missing a finger. And like the first time you know she's missing a finger, it's like in your face. It's like, hi, finger missing. And you're like, oh, what happened there? And it's like, oh, whatever. But it's the nuances to that character is what made her intriguing more than just the voice acting, because she had the interactions with Songbird. She didn't exactly know what Songbird was, and Songbird was obviously attached to her in some way.
I thought she was a really well-developed character. You know, her power was basically the basis of the entire game, so I feel like she was almost more of a main character than Booker DeWitt was.
Excuse me, it's Booker DeWitt. I guess you're expecting me? Good luck with that, pal.
My favorite character was Booker. He was a very likable main character. You could relate to him on a lot of levels.
I liked the character of Booker DeWitt. I thought he was a really good hero. I think he was pretty relatable for most people.
I think Booker is a great anti-hero. I mean, certainly he has those heroic qualities, but, you know, the vibe it came across is that, you know, he was one of those washed out cops that was sort of back on the job because, you know, he had something that he needed to do. It was very Blade Runner-ish to me.
I thought he was, you know, kind of decent. They really didn't, like, he thinks he's a way worse guy than anybody else there does except himself, which is, you know, the main bad guy also.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting interaction there. Like it's one of the only times where you're playing through a juxtaposition. But it's like you're playing as a character and then you're playing against the character's nemesis, and then you find out that both of them are the same.
He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
No. I'm both.
And yet they're different. I mean, it was just an interesting juxtaposition that you normally don't experience in games. Normally you experience them through observation, not through action. And I thought that was cool.
Heads.
Or tails.
Come on, let me through. Heads.
Or tails.
Tails.
Told you. I never find that as satisfying as I'd imagined.
Chin up. There's always next time.
I suppose there is.
Oh man, my favorite characters would have to be the Lutece twins. I just love them. I love their entire personality. I love the way they talked with each other, and I love the way they interacted with you, the main character. I just thought that they had a lot of interesting things to say, and it was really nice to see how they impacted the story. Because at first you feel like they're just these kind of comedy relief characters, but it's amazing how integral to the plot they are.
It's a tear. What is it?
Why do you ask what?
When the delicious question is when.
Lives, lived, will live.
Dies, died, will die.
And I really like the Lutesses just because they just seem not devious, but like they know a lot of things that are not telling you, and they just want you to figure it out on your own.
The Lutesses, or Lutess, yes, but both of the one of them, they're really cool and quirky, and yes. And the most intriguing thing about them is not only were they cool, quirky, superpowered, and what have you, but they also had like a mixed alignment. You didn't exactly know if they were good or bad. And even at the end of the game, you didn't know if they were good or bad. You just kind of understood what they were doing more, but you still don't understand what was going on.
And we ain't letting no false shepherd into our flock. Show them what we got planned, boys!
Well, considering I'm a product of this new generation, I'm pretty much desensitized to violence at this point, but I can definitely see that it was kind of a hyper-violent game in some aspects, especially the hook kills, and if you shock somebody and then shoot them, their head pops off like a balloon. It's pretty intense. I think I've seen much worse in video games, even ones that came out this year, but it was a little bit over the top for my taste.
I mean, I thought it was fine. It told the story pretty well. It wasn't really excessive in comparison to a lot of the other games I've played.
I really didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was just enough.
On a very cartoony level, it seemed almost like a Quentin Tarantino film at times. Sometimes it was just way over the top, and it didn't, need to be. I mean, I didn't think that it held the story back particularly, but I do know that some people had complaints about just how over the top the violence was, especially with those hook kills.
I've seen people try to make it as extreme as Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, even though it's nowhere near as extreme with it. Like, they don't say all these expletives all the time, but it brings attention, especially for the younger audiences. The interracial mixing was looked down upon, and this place that was very religious just kind of fueled that.
I thought it was more of a background theme. Like, it was there, but it didn't really contribute a whole lot to the story.
See? Not stars. They're doors.
Doors to
everywhere. All that's left is the choosing.
My favorite moment in the game I'd have to say would probably just be the ending. Honestly, it was probably the most satisfying ending to a game that I've seen in a while. It just, and I thought that they were very clever about how they did it, because, they knew that since this was a Bioshock game, then people would be expecting there to be some sort of twist at the end. And they did a very good job of hiding it well enough that you didn't see it coming, or at least you didn't see everything that was going to be coming ahead of time.
No, the saddest moment was when Songbird died.
Elizabeth! The bird, Elizabeth! I lost control! He's coming!
No, he isn't.
Where is he? Where is he?
It's okay. It's all right. I'm here. Just let go. There you go. There you go.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry, but I was just oh, break my heart.
I honestly loved the ending. I have to admit though, when I very first played it, I was a bit confused by how it just kind of bluntly told you the ending and then it cut to black. But then I actually thought about it in retrospect more, and I enjoyed the ending a lot more because of that. Because you start to realize all the subtle hints throughout the game that tell you about it. What the ending meant to me is, some people are saying it's like a deconstruction of linear gameplay. I didn't so much feel that, but I guess I would say that to me the ending was just about the infinite possibilities in life, and if you prescribe to the theory that there are an infinite amount of universes out there, then truly anything is possible in any timeline. And I definitely got the ending. I've always been a fan of, these concepts of time travel, alternate dimensions, so it was great.
If you should ever leave me, though life would still go on, believe me, the world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do?